Hi everyone, welcome back to the 2018 CDH Telethon live for 15 hours. And we are on, I don't know what hour we're on, but we have about 4.5 hours left. And we're getting tired and a little silly, but that's okay. Because we're excited because we are over the halfway mark, but we still need to reach $50,000. So make sure that you donate. Address and phone numbers right here, but don't call the phone number because the phone operator is sitting beside me right now. So this is Liz. Liz is a CDH survivor. She's one of the rare older survivors over 30. We're just going to say over 30. And Liz, tell us about your story.
All right, so 1972. Before ultrasound was, I guess it was invented, but it wasn't a thing really that they used as a diagnostic tool. I was born late December in Burlington, North Carolina, and the minute I was born, my mom said I turned blue, and my mouth was wide open, and I was screaming, but there was no sound coming out. It was the only time in my life where my mouth was wide open and nothing was going in or coming out. So there's that. And she said my stomach was flat. She said it was just rib cage and then flat and pelvis. And so they immediately knew that something was wrong. So they whisked me away and I guess contacted doctors in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which is where the University of North Carolina is, one of the big research hospitals. And they put me in an ambulance and drove me 30 miles to Chapel Hill. My dad went in the ambulance with me while my mom recovered. And the surgeon who was on duty at the time was Dr. Peter Sterick, who has since retired and since passed. He was a new doctor when I was born. So, yeah, I lived through his whole career. But anyway, luckily he had paid attention in his pediatric surgery rotation. And I corresponded with him several years ago, and he said that he recalls the, I guess, professor or whatever that they had saying that in a case of congenital diaphragmatic hernia, that you had to act very quickly in order to salvage the life of the baby. And just that word salvage, I mean, you don't think of using the word salvage with human life, but that kind of hits home the point of how severe the birth defect is. So anyway, they did x-rays and discovered that my lungs were pushed to the sides up under my armpits, my heart was pushed to the wrong side, and all my guts were up in my chest. And so they did surgery when I was 4 hours old. Got everything put back where it needed to be. Part of my small intestine, I think, was twisted and was starting to be necrotic, but they untwisted it and it, color came back to it, so that was a bullet dodged. And they sewed me up. Dr. Sterick said in his letter to me that he recalled that because my stomach was not used to being a full tummy like a normal infant would have, that the skin had to be stretched a little harder, and my incision is actually attached to the muscle right here on the left side. So if I sit for long periods of time, it kind of gets a little sore, plus my fat pushes it out. And that was one thing when I was pregnant with my 3 kids. The bigger my belly got, I would get really sore right there, and I was so afraid that my scar was going to rip away from the muscle, but thankfully it never did. And I didn't have any further complications, thankfully, with my CDH, and I grew up pretty healthy, a healthy couch potato. But I was actually on a swim team, and I could swim the length of the pool without coming up for air, so that was a good thing. My mom said the doctors told her to let me scream, let me cry, let me scream. It would develop my lungs, and it did. I was a cheerleader. I was the loudest cheerleader on the squad. I'm known throughout the world for being very loud and just boisterous.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Sometimes. Sometimes I say the wrong thing at the wrong time.
No.
And it's a little too loud. But, yeah, so like I said, and I've got 3 healthy daughters. Didn't have any complications with my pregnancies. I actually asked the obstetrician with my first daughter, you know, if having been born with this diaphragmatic hernia was going to be, you know, if there was a chance I could pass that on to my baby, or if it was going to have any implications for my pregnancy. And she was like, oh, no, it's just a fluke. It, you know, it just happens. So that, of course, was before I discovered cherubs, because I think cherubs was probably not even
95.
Okay, it was barely formed, because that was in 96. But anyway, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. The nut in a nutshell.
Oh. Liz has been very active here locally with our charity and volunteers. The majority of the events, we haven't had a local event in a while. Yeah, because of all the other things that we're doing. And we had a masquerade ball every year for several years, and Liz volunteered at, and we threw wings and tiara on her, and paraded her around as one of the adult survivors, because you can't bring kids to the masquerade ball.
They can't see over the bar.
They can't see.
That's
Yeah. That. And we will do another one, just not this year. Not this year, because we're a little busy with all the research things, and we need to hire a full-time fundraiser / grant writer unless someone wants to volunteer for the job. That's a shameless plug.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, shameless plug for the need of volunteers. Email Tracy at volunteer@cherubs.org. There you go, Tracy. But Liz has also been involved in pretty much every other thing we've had local. Yeah, and we became very fast friends. The same really dry, sarcastic, and appropriate sense of humor that has made us both survivors. Comes in handy. Most CDH parents can understand the need to have the sarcastic and appropriate sense of humor after you've dealt with PTSD from CDH. And so that is a talent that most of us actually have, and we're rather proud of it too. So, what else would you like to? And Liz has also been on the welcoming committee, or the
cards
committee
mm-hmm.
for a long time, really long
Mm-hmm.
time. So when you get those notifications, when the parents get notifications, happy birthday, or we're remembering your cherub, Liz is the one behind that. So we really appreciate all that she does on the back end, helping Tracy as well. And the public. So I'm going to tell a short story about the time I made Liz get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive to a radio station to go live to talk about Charlie Sheen on the rock station on their morning zoo broadcast. And
you're the only person I'll ever do it for. You're the only person I put on a dress for once a year. You're the only person I'll get up at 3 a.m. and put on makeup for.
This is a woman dedicated to the cause and a true friend. We really appreciate that. But that was a fun time. We were able to raise a lot of awareness and talk about CDH to their audience, which is huge for the Raleigh area. I don't know what the reach was, but so we were able to talk about that.
Probably about 3.
It's not 3. It's not 3. It's big. They're the biggest rock station here, and we are in the South, so we don't have a lot of rock stations, but they're great. And then also, she puts on a dress for the ball every time I ask, and mans the tables and the casino chips, because we have gambling too, fully legal, licensed by the state gambling at the charity event, just FYI. So yes, we need to do that again, but maybe next year.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but
Liz
it's
is
a lot
on
of
the
fun.
committee as well. So yes, it's 6 months of torture. But it is. But the night is amazing.
Well worth it.
It is. We're actually having another event coming up this summer. The date's not set yet, but we're having another 80s event. So that's a lot of fun. It's a lot less work than a masquerade ball. And we get to talk about CDH, raise awareness, have a great time, and dance. And again, unfortunately, the kiddos are not allowed to the adult-only dances with alcohol. You know, that ABC license, we don't want to lose that. And so that'll be coming up sometime this summer. One of our board members is the lead singer of a very well-known local 80s band, and Warren's going to put that together, so we'll get that out as soon as possible. And if you're anywhere in North Carolina, near North Carolina, just want to come take a tour of the office and have a great time, families are welcome to do that. At our last masquerade ball, we had a family fly in from Utah, so they could come tour the office, have fun at the event, and it was a lot of fun. And let's see, what else?
I don't know.
What do you want to tell the public?
Here's what I want to tell parents. Let your kid be a kid. I know a lot of these kids are medically fragile. I had really bad allergies and asthma growing up and acid reflux, and we didn't know to attribute it to CDH. I still don't even know if it should be attributed to CDH or just for, being a couch potato and having a bad diet. But nonetheless, let your kid be a kid. Because just let them have a normal life, as normal as possible. Because just because they're kids, Also, participate in the research studies, dreams, and what are the other ones?
The other genetic groups, the university,
yeah, all of them. Just do all of them.
Utah, yeah.
Do the survey.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So when you were pregnant with Julia, her first, and you walked in and did your whole first OB appointment, found out you're pregnant, did you tell them about the CDH right away? What was their response? Did they have even heard of it?
I don't know if it was right away. Maybe so. I know I do remember discussing it at one point with my doctor, and she was like, "Oh no, it's just it's just a fluke. It's it's a one-off thing. It's it's not genetic. It's just happens."
But as far as pregnancy and your safety,
right? Yeah,
she didn't seem concerned.
They didn't seem concerned at all.
Okay,
At
that's
all.
interesting considering you're pretty rare.
I even went to genetic counseling with my second one. And they said, no, you're fine. Even though my grandfather was diagnosed at age 90 with having had CDH his entire life, he was in for a heart bypass because he had to have the heart bypass before he could have the knee replacement because he had to get it back on his tractor and get back to his cows because he was tough. But yeah, his surgeon was, I guess they were doing some kind of scan before the heart surgery to make sure he was healthy enough for the heart surgery, and the doctor looked at him, he said, your chitlins are up in your lungs? He said, what? He said, yeah, you were probably born like that. And he had, his left lung was a little smaller than his right lung, from what I understand, and so yeah, and he'd been a welder for a lot of years, so he had asbestosis in his lungs, and he only had one good eye because when he was born, the midwife accidentally stuck her thumb in his right eye when she was pulling him out. So he lived 90 years with one good eye and one good lung, raised 6 kids, 15 grandkids. I don't know how many great-grandkids. He was a wonderful grandfather, a wonderful man, along with my grandmother, who's thankfully still alive. They don't make people like that anymore.
That's one tough cookie right there.
They don't make people like that anymore. Wow. But, yeah, so of course I didn't know that when I was pregnant with my kids, or I would have said to the genetic counselor, hey, wait a minute, guess what?
Right.
It runs in the family apparently, but who knows?
Julia didn't touch on it today, but very often when they have familial cases of CDH where where more than one member of the family has been diagnosed, they'll do scans on the immediate family members and find undiagnosed other cases of CDH that were completely asymptomatic, and they were living life and doing well, and oh, look at that, you have a very slight CDH, or you have a very thin diaphragm that that did not fully form, but just enough to keep everything in place. Don't go doing anything crazy.
Don't do marathons anytime soon. Or swim across the pool without coming up for air.
Well, they shouldn't weightlift 200 pounds with that thing, but yeah. So it's CDH is probably a lot more prevalent than we know, just such varying degrees that absolutely there are probably more people walking around with it than know about, and some patients just need surgery immediately, and some can go 90 years and never know. That's amazing.
I have my own theories about, my family history. There's the cemetery where my grandfather's buried. There's up the hill from it. There's a whole section of Addisons, which were his mother's, his mom's people were Addisons, I think. And there were a lot of infant graves. That infants that lived like around 3 months or so, and just I kind of wonder if maybe it possibly came from that side of the family, because it kind of seems like just from hearing a lot of the stories that the 3-month mark is about kind of a make or break kind of time for a lot of them.
50 years or more or so ago. You know where a great place for that information is, Liz? On a database survey.
Look at you making a plug.
Look at that.
That was a great segue.
That was a great segue. We did not practice that at all.
That was completely ad-libbed.
It was because, see, she's already seen the genetic counselor, didn't know about her grandfather, but on the survey, now that she knows, she could go back, fill that in. Lo and behold, when we share the data, the de-identified, completely safe, and completely private information that, how do we phrase that?
Confidential?
Confidential. It's been a long day. Completely confidential information with the Dream Study group. They can go, oh, there's a case of someone we don't know about because we can't see her name or any identifying information. But this case has a 90-year-old identified CDH person with a granddaughter who was born with CDH in 1972 and survived. That's really impressive. And they can say, oh, let's test the whole family. Who knows what you would find out. See, that's a great way to get free genetic services right there by doing our survey and Dreams. That's pretty awesome. You cannot beat that. No. Not in the U.S. with our high medical prices. This free medical care. Rachel's going to be in a few minutes, and then we're going to do another celeb video, Liz. No. Imagine that.
Oh, another thing I want to tell parents, in addition to, let your kids be kids. They've already survived this, so they're going to be stubborn and willful, and you're going to have your hands full.
That's a good thing.
Ask me how I know.
She's still a handful.
Ask my mom how I know.
But it's a good thing. The strength and the stubbornness and the will to survive. And
it also runs on that side of the family.
There you go. There you go. Oh, obviously you got strength from him. No doubt. So your mom's a pretty cool woman, too.
Yeah, she is.
She's amazing. Well, thank you so much for all your help today, too. And I know that everyone's going to think, Liz is so cool, that they're going to call her immediately and give her money. Give her credit card numbers to give to the charity. And she said she'd show her scar for $2,000, and I had nothing to do with this. I want the board to know I had nothing to do with this idea. So, but it will be very G-rated, just FYI. All right. Okay.
PG?
No. G-rated. G-rated, Liz. All right.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. All right, so next up.